Making sure that our kids and families, though, are number one, because that's our future. Those are my priorities.
Thank you. Richard Penn.
Well, this is the Latino community is certainly a community that we need to ensure everyone has economic opportunity for everyone. And unfortunately, too often the Latino community gets left behind. In terms of our top priorities, the top priorities are, one is, first of all, public safety. I've met with the Franklin Road Partnership and the businesses here, many of them are Latino-owned, have expressed concerns about being able to keep, in terms of keeping their business open, in terms of crime, and being sure that people are safe, and also addressing blight. Certainly homelessness and the lack of affordable housing. Latinos are disproportionately affected by that lack of affordable housing, and we need to be sure that's addressed. And then finally, economic opportunity. You need to have good jobs. That's the other side of the affordability piece, right? If you don't have good income, then you're not going to be able to afford things. And we need to be sure to have good jobs. In fact, actually, I worked with Familia to be sure that Latinos had better access to, for example, state jobs when I was a state legislator. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose Avina.
Well, there's a couple of things that are affecting our community. During COVID, the Latino community, we had the record high unemployment across the entire nation. I think we were sitting at greater than 18%. We were 4 points higher than the national average. Now we're down to roughly 2 points above the national average, now at 8%. So those are some of the things that are affecting us. And some of the things that happen with La Raza is that we don't want a government handout. We're willing to work. We'll work our butts off. We don't want the handout. We want to work. We want job opportunities. So even though the resources exist, we won't take them. Okay? So we need job creations. And if we can't attract the jobs and the companies to come and create those jobs, then we have to look from within our own communities and build those jobs and give those entrepreneurs the chances to create those jobs for us. Second is protections. We have environmental protections that don't apply to this area right here. I just spoke to a gentleman and about the air quality situation right here in Southside. It's worse than anywhere else in the city. So those are some of the issues affecting our community. We're underserved, underrepresented, and we don't have a voice.
Thank you. Flo Colford.
As a public health professional, one of the things we understand is the most important part of our experience is how long we live. And so when I look and see that our life expectancy of the Latino community is lower than it should be, we think about what are the drivers of that. And first and foremost, it's the ability to be able to live safe and happy and healthy lives. And that involves economic prosperity. So we absolutely need to make sure that there are jobs that are available that are living wage jobs so that people can afford to live in this region. Right now, we have a minimum wage of $15, but it costs almost double that to be able to afford housing in this region. And so that is significantly hampering our community and harming our health. In addition, we need to make sure that we're living in safe communities where we're not worried about the threat of violence. And I really appreciate that because as the only woman on this panel with these very handsome gentlemen, I experience safety very differently than they do. And so I understand that our communities, especially communities who are struggling sometimes with trust of institutions, need to make sure that they're feeling safe. And so those are my priorities, that we're taking care of in our communities and that we're addressing those major needs.
Thank you. And Kevin McCarty. Thank you for passing the mic.
Thank you. You know, Latinos make up 1 in 3 Sacramentans. In 10 years, will be the plurality. 20 years, the majority of Sacramento. In my house, mi casa, they're already the supermajority. 3 and 4 in my house are Latinas. So I live this issue every day. But the Latino agenda is the American agenda, is the California, it's the Sacramento agenda. The same issues that we talk about wherever we go. Housing, homelessness, our youth. Those are my 3 top priorities. First thing, homelessness. Disproportionate people that are homeless, communities of color, including Latinos, African Americans. The camps disproportionately impact neighborhoods, parks, schools throughout Sacramento. We need to tackle homelessness right away with more of a sense of urgency today. As far as home ownership, Latinos we know lag way down. Pay way more than their fair share for renters. And for people that want to buy a house, sometimes they're out of luck. And so I'm deeply concerned about the next generation having opportunity for affordability and home ownership. Lastly, our youth. I'll focus on that down the road. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question will be first directed to Richard Penn. If elected as mayor, how will you specifically engage the Sacramento Latino community in your decision-making? And will you have bilingual staff?
Thank you for that question. You know, I'm a child of immigrants. My parents immigrated from Taiwan to this country. My wife is actually an immigrant herself. And I'd like to say we have a bilingual household, although I think my kids aren't quite as up on the language as much. But my wife certainly speaks Mandarin. And actually, when I was in the legislature, I fought very hard for improving language access as well. And but I've worked very closely with the Latino community and with my colleagues in the legislature. So, for example, we knew that because many both AAPI and Latinos are immigrants, and unfortunately, because of their immigrant status, get harassed and need legal assistance. We worked together to push One California to provide state funding for legal assistance for not only Latinos, but for people who are immigrants. I also worked hard to be sure that we increased opportunities for Latinos for state service, and also partnered with organizations like the Farmworks Union to be sure people got health care coverage. So I am going to, and I look forward to continuing to work very closely with the Latino community. Thank you.
Thank you. Jose?
Thank you. When elected mayor, one of the first things I'm going to do is make sure that we actually talk to the community members themselves and see what it is that they want and need. Not assume and not make judgments, but talk to them and see, what can I do for you? What is it that you need me to do for you so you can be successful in life and have and live the life that you dream of, the American dream? Secondly, of course, where we have Spanish speakers, this population makes up 35% of Sacramento. Claro que vamos a tener alguien que habla español. Y si no tenemos alguien que puede hablar español, tenemos problemas, ¿ok? Cristina trabaja conmigo y me anda ayudando ahorita en este campeón. Y claro, si ganamos, va a trabajar conmigo y también habla español. We will work with the community. We will make sure we break all the barriers so that there is no more discrimination and everyone has equal opportunity. This is our community. You have a voice, you have a champion for you. This is a community that will be involved. The mayor will be involved with the community, okay?
Thank you. Flo?
This issue is incredibly important to me, and so I will answer, yes, I will hire bilingual staff. But I don't have to wait to be mayor to do that. I'm the only candidate for mayor who from the beginning has had my website available in the 5 most spoken languages in Sacramento, which are English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Hmong, and Chinese. Why? Because even when we didn't have a lot of money in our campaign, we wanted to make sure that we were speaking to the people who live here. We can't tout our diversity as our strength and then not put our money literally where our mouth is. And it's incredibly frustrating to me that our city auditor came out with a report saying that we don't know what resources or even what languages we need to speak to people in. We know, we have demographic data, and as your mayor, I will continue to hire people in our community who reflect our community, and will continue to make important efforts to make sure that I'm talking with you, not about you. Nothing about us without us. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin?
Thank you. As many of you know, I have the opportunity to serve you today as your assembly member, and I'm pleased that to let you know, in case you don't, my top leadership are Latinas, Latinos, but Latinas. Maria's been my chief of staff for 20 years. Erica, my district director, my campaign manager, Paula. So, you know, I live with 3 Latinas, and they're working on my major political and government positions today. But most importantly, I want to make sure we focus on representation. I too was deeply disturbed when I read that audit report a couple years ago after being a council member. Sacramento, as we said, 1 in 3 Latinos. Our city staff, less than 20%, I think about 16%. Management, even less. We need to make sure we have representation on city positions and on boards and commissions, and we will make decisions. When I have an opportunity to make investments in the Latino community or in Sacramento, I've gone to the Latino groups and say, hey, where can we make a difference and listen to the community? I'll do so as mayor.
Thank you. And Steve?
Thank you. I walk the talk. Ever since I've even thought about running for mayor, I've been consulting with our Latino entrepreneurs, artists, civic leaders, because if you look all the way back, my first chief of staff in City Hall was Consuelo Hernandez. We had staff on every campaign that comes from the Latino community. When Eric Guerra and I were working on the Fuel Network, he didn't ever have to question where I was because he always knew that I would have his back. When Ernesto Delgado was attacked by these people who were trying to threaten him, they'd come in sombreros and other things to try to like scare the employees, I was the first person there to defend them. When we were talking about arts, Liliana Ferreira called me, our council general, former council general, said, I want to bring Wings to the City here. I said, let's do it. And we had the longest exhibit of Wings of the City of any city so far. Jorge Marin, Mexico City-based artist. Rafael Delgado. We walk this talk because Latinos aren't optional. They're not optional.
Thank you. We'll move on to the next question now, and it will be first directed to Jose. In a little movement away from the last question, but still on this very important Latino community, in what ways have you supported the Latino community and current Latino leaders in Sacramento? Please provide examples of both.
Well, I've been involved in this community much longer than I guess I even thought about being in this position right here. So first, when I started opening my gym, it's we are harnessing the human power to produce clean energy, right? And as a Latino business owner, I reached out to all the different possibilities so that I can try to get grant money so that I can open this dream. And the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the national one, gave me an opportunity. I got a $10,000 grant from them, and I got to go and speak at their convention. And I, from then, became a sponsor. And anytime any business, any entrepreneur has questions about opening their own gym or business, I'm one of those mentors that they can call. So I devote my time to the community for free. And it can be anyone, Latino, anyone. It doesn't matter. I'm here to serve the community and help other entrepreneurs create more jobs. I don't think that I do it because it's. I think my mom taught me to do the right thing no matter what. Even if no one's watching, it's something that I felt that I will always give back to my community because they gave me so much and they always supported me.
Thank you. Flo?
I served as the chair of the Measure U Community Advisory Committee, and one of the things we invested in was trying to make sure that the money that was being spent from our tax dollars was going to go to inclusive economic development, the arts community, and housing and homelessness. And we really pushed hard to make sure that there was participatory budgeting and that we were doing the things that our community needed. And unfortunately, our city failed to prioritize those things. But my purpose for that was because I know that Black and Latino communities needed to benefit from that investment. Furthermore, I have been a mentor to Nueva Epoca, which is a Latino leadership organization in Sacramento, to make sure that the next generation of leaders is diverse. Because I recognize that people came before me to make it possible for me to be the first Black woman running for mayor in our city's history, and I want to make sure that I'm not the last, and that we have other people who are serving in our leadership roles from across the rich diversity of Sacramento.
Thank you. You'll pass down the mic to Kevin, please.
Thank you. I'm proud of my Latino record. I believe second to none. Helping elect Latinos to office, from Deborah Ortiz 20 years ago, to Mariana Corona, to Karina Talamantes, making sure we elect and represent Sacramento, 1 and 3. I've stood up to stand up for tough issues. When it was a tough vote to stand up for farm workers, I was a co-author of legislation. When the UFW comes to town for a march to stand up for marginalized workers, I'm there welcoming them and paying for their lunches and their breakfasts. As far as my record working on issues, I'm proud to work with the Hispanic Chamber and help them focus on micro businesses and the palateros and the taqueros on Northgate, making sure they have resources. I love this idea for the Taco Plaza up on Northgate with Talamante's office and the Hispanic Chamber are pushing. I'll be helping fund that and getting that across the finish line. But most importantly, when we make decisions at City Hall, I want to make sure that we focus on all communities and engage, not just the people with the most connections, but everybody.
Thank you. Steve?
Like I said, the Latino community is not optional. All through my career, but especially in my appointments, my hiring, supporting Latinos and Latinas running for office. If you look at my website, my endorsements speak volumes about who's supporting me and why, because I show up. When the Trump administration was attacking people, I helped work to update our city sanctuary law to make sure that our city was always welcoming. Everyone's our neighbor, documented or undocumented. You're a citizen of Sacramento. Again, working with our arts community and our entrepreneurs, making sure that city bureaucracy is not in the way. At every level, we worked to create commissions so people had representation. When I was appointed to the redistricting committee in 2010, there were no Latinos. So we went back to the council and we fought. We had 2 people selected for that commission to ensure that in redistricting, the Latino community had a voice. And you'll always have a voice with me.
Thank you. Richard?
I've been working with the Latino communities even before I got elected to office. In fact, as a pediatrician, I saw low-income children, but more importantly, and not all, I worked to be sure that we got healthcare coverage for kids when they couldn't qualify for government programs. In fact, they started Healthy Kids, Healthy Futures. 5 counties helped 65,000 kids get healthcare coverage before I even got into office. As a legislator, when I got elected to the legislature, I actually opened my district office, actually right next to the New Rancho grocery store on Florin, to be sure I was accessible to the community, including the Latino community, that I was where the community was already going, that they didn't have to come find me downtown or something, they could actually come to my district office. I worked hard to be sure that worked with the Mexican consulate to be sure that we got information about college education out to the Latino community, and then also rallied the clinics when the Trump administration was trying to send ICE to be sure that they were safe places so people could feel safe getting health care. So I see time's up. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the next question.